Hello and welcome to News Round, where we do a recap of stories amid headlines during the week. Coming up, a court in Edo-Ekiti denies Dele Farotimi bail, adjourns case to December 20th. Federal High Court in Abuja grants immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, 500 million naira bail, adjourns case to February 24, 2025. And President Bola Tinubu is to present the 2025 budget to a joint assembly of the National Assembly on Tuesday, December 17th. Plus, U.S. President Joe Biden issues record-breaking presidential pardons and commutations. I'll begin News Round in Edo-Ekiti, the Ekiti State capital, where the magistrate court is adjourned till Friday, December the 20th. Its ruling on the bail application filed by Lagos-based legal practitioner and rights activist Dele Farotimi. Magistrate Abayomi Adeosun fixed a date after taking arguments for and against bail. He ordered the remand of the defendant in custody pending the ruling of the court on the bail application.
Parties arrived earlier at the magistrate court at Edo-Ekiti for the hearing in the criminal defamation charge filed by the police against Lagos-based lawyer and rights activist Dele Farotimi. Farotimi is alleged to have defamed renowned senior advocate Afe Babalola and his law office in his book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. Count 1 of the 16 counts in the charge says that Farotimi in his book, which was received and read all over the world, including in Edo-Ekiti, stated that Afe Babalola corrupted the Supreme Court to procure a fraudulent judgment in the service of his clients, an act which is likely to cause fear and alarm to the public peace and which is contrary to and punishable under Section 59(1) of the Criminal Code Act. The offense carries a punishment of imprisonment for 3 years. At around 9:50 a.m., Farotimi is driven into the court premises by operatives of the Rapid Response Squad of the Nigerian Police Force and the Nigerian Correctional Center and led straight into the courtroom. When the proceedings commenced, the police prosecutor Sam Osubu challenged the appearance of the defendant's lead counsel, senior advocate of Nigeria Adeyinka Olumide Fushika, before the magistrate court on the basis that a senior advocate should not appear in a lower court. He cited a recent judgment of the Court of Appeal, Oyo State. The senior advocate Olumide Fushika countered this submission by explaining that the Ekiti State Magistrate Law allowed lawyers, irrespective of their status and title, to appear in the court. He asked the court to reject the arguments of the prosecution, noting that the appeal court decision cited might not have put into consideration all magistrate court laws across the country. After listening to both lawyers, Magistrate Abayomi Adeosun decided to step down his ruling on the matter as he would need to read and consider the judgment cited by the prosecutor. The magistrate also directed the senior advocate to step down, pending his ruling. This paved the way for another member of the defense team, Mr. Taiwo Adedeji, to step in and continue the case on behalf of the defendant.
Next was the charge. The original charge was amended, and the new charge was read to the defendant. And thereafter, the application for bail was argued. So, and the ruling adjourned to 28th of December.
Outside the courtroom, it was a war of words between supporters of both parties. The senior advocate for the defendant, who could be seen trying to calm frayed nerves, declined to comment on tape, but said off tape that the atmosphere was toxic and makes justice in the case doubtful. Supporters of both sides freely bared their minds.
Nobody can destabilize the peace of our states. We know they are rented talks. We know they are hired to do this. But no amount of street wailing, no amount of internet attack can make a group of underdogs to subdue the right of our family.
All right. We will respect the position of the case and at the same time present ourselves in the court of law at the next proceedings. But it is expected that this particular case is a bailable offense especially in the magistrate court, so that we can be given a bail, so that we will not escalate this particular matter unnecessarily.
Meanwhile, the managing partner at Afe Babalola's law firm, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Kehinde Ogunwumiju, has filed a civil suit on behalf of the firm against Farotimi for the alleged defamatory statements in his book. Ogunwumiju asked the court to stop the publication and sale of the book at all physical and online bookstores, pending the hearing and determination of the suit. The firm is also asking the court to order the seizure of copies of the book wherever it may be found. The firm also demanded an apology from Farotimi in 2 national newspapers, as well as damages in the sum of 500 million naira. Shola Shoyeli, Channels Television News.
And staying with legal matters, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court Abuja has granted the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, bail in a sum of 500 million naira with 2 sureties in like sum. This was after the former governor had pleaded not guilty to 19 count charges brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He is facing an alleged money laundering trial to the tune of 80 billion naira, but pleaded not guilty to the charges.
The immediate past governor of Kogi State, Mr. Yahaya Bello, is at the Federal High Court Abuja for the 80 billion naira alleged money laundering case instituted against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. With a smile, he goes around the courtroom exchanging pleasantries with his lawyers and supporters. At the resumed hearing, counsel for the EFCC, Mr. Kemi Pinero, notified the court of his intention to withdraw an earlier application for abridgment of the earlier date fixed for arraignment, as it had been overtaken by events. The defendant's counsel, led by Joseph Daudo, did not object, and Justice Nwite accordingly granted the request. Shortly after, Mr. Bello took his plea, pleading not guilty to the charges leveled against him. Mr. Daudo made clarifications on the reasons why his client had not been in court during the previous hearings. He stated that the defendant asked counsel to challenge the jurisdiction of the court, which got to the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court. While moving an application for bail, he assured the court that the former governor would always be present in court for the trial and would not jump bail. Counsel for the EFCC said though they had filed a counter affidavit, they would not oppose the bail, going by the assurances of the defense counsel. Ruling on the bail application, Justice Nwite granted the defendant 500 million naira bail with 2 sureties. The sureties will be landed property owners within the jurisdiction of the court. The court also asked the sureties to swear an affidavit of means, while the title deeds of property should be verified by the court registrar. The defendant was also asked to submit his international passport, while he would remain at the Kuje Correctional Center pending the perfection of the bail conditions. The former governor was earlier remanded at Kuje Correctional Center in a fresh 110 billion naira charge by the EFCC, pending his bail application. The case has been adjourned to February 24, 2025 for continuation of hearing. Emmanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
And now to economic matters. The President Bola Tinubu will present the 2025 budget to the Joint Assembly of the National Assembly next Tuesday, December 17, 2024. And this was disclosed by the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, during the plenary session. President Tinubu had earlier submitted the medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for 2025-2027 to both the Senate and the House of Representatives last Tuesday.
The last plenary session for the week starts with the Deputy Senate President, Senator Jibrin Barau, presiding.
So we don't punish. You have to...
A motion of the failure of the management of a construction company to honor an invitation of the Senate Committee on Works is considered.
The resolutions passed by this Senate was that the Senate Committee on Works invites the 3 contractors, Messrs. Sematech, Messrs. Julius Berger, and Messrs. CCECC, Nigeria Limited, to a hearing. Distinguished colleagues, it is very sad to note and to state that Julius Berger has refused to attend these investigative hearings.
Is your point of order going to
When
be
the president of the Senate arrived at the chamber, he took over and issued a warrant of arrest for the management of the company.
The Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has authorized the Senate President to sign a warrant compelling the Managing Director of Julius Berger to appear before the Senate Committee on Works on a stated date to be so named. Those in support of this say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
What seemed to be a smooth proceeding took a different turn when the senator representing Federal Capital Territory, Senator Ireti Kingbe, staged a walkout after being prevented from presenting a motion. This prompted some lawmakers to make a case for her to be heard.
Distinguished Senator Ireti Kingbe.
She was later recalled into the chamber to apologize for walking out and then present a motion.
Start with a slight apology to your colleagues for walking out on them.
No, sir.
Then we have a problem there. If you are not
Okay,
humble enough,
I apologize to my colleagues for working out.
humble enough to apologize to your colleagues,
I apologize to my colleagues for working out.
Then you
now,
will move the
added
motion.
to that, my colleagues, I expect fairness in the Senate for everybody.
She yielded upon insistence of the Senate President and raised concerns over the demolition going on in the nation's capital.
Senate resolves accordingly to urge the FCT administration to halt the ongoing revocation and demolition of the said property, as it does not fall within the purview of the reasons for the massive demolition being carried by the FCDA.
A motion was granted and an 8-man committee was formed to meet with the FCT administration.
When we look into the prayers, will be that we should urge the minister to put a hold on the demolitions, and then we set up a committee to investigate.
Just before adjourning plenary for the week, the President of the Senate makes an announcement on the 2025 budget proposal.
His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, has indicated his intention to bring the 2025 budget proposals and estimates to a joint sitting of the National Assembly on 17th day of December 2024. That will be at 11 a.m. prompt.
The senators are expected to converge in the Green Chamber next week Tuesday for the presentation of the appropriation bill. From the National Assembly, Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
And when Newsround returns, U.S. President Joe Biden issues 39 presidential pardons. Details later. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Well, the Senate, through its Finance Committee, has issued a stern warning to government-owned agencies that fail to provide proper expenditure records of the 2024 fiscal year. The chairman of the Finance Committee, Senator Sani Musa, who issued the threat during an investigative hearing, underscored that the committee will withhold allocations to any agency that does not comply with its summons for scrutiny. In an interface with the Accountant General of the Federation, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Made, the committee expressed dissatisfaction with a centralized payment system managed by the Office of the Accountant General.
Central District.
It's an investigative hearing by the Senate Committee on Finance on the remittance of internally generated revenue, fiscal accountability, and the overall state of the country's financial management system.
We also want to find out about the entire revenue generation in Nigeria.
The Accountant General of the Federation proceeded to present a summary of revenues up to September 2024, where general dissatisfaction over the payment system was observed.
September 2024, totaling 2.7 trillion. Then the operating surplus from the GOEs amounting to 2.3 trillion. Then the MDA's IGR up to September amounted to 344 billion.
There are general complaints everywhere that there are delays for payment because payment is now over-centralized.
Our worry is this. This is December. And as we speak, we have met with several agencies. The performance level of the 2024 budget is nothing to write home about. And everybody is that is why the expectation of 2024 budget to announce that is not interesting.
The apparent discrepancies observed by the lawmakers drew further criticisms.
What is delaying the release of the funds? There are two things I want to hear. Is there no funds available, or there are queries to those things that have been uploaded?
I can say it's a combination of all that you have said. Sometimes, when the warrants are released, funds may not be in the account, but that is always addressed as early as possible.
Concerns were also raised about low stamp duty revenues, as lawmakers attributed the shortfall to poor budget performance.
Total IGR 60.7 million and under stamp duty 3.8 million. Then 2024 as a date, total 93.2 million.
The committee thereafter resolved to summon other critical agencies, including NNPCL and NATI, threatening zero allocation for non-compliant agencies. Separately, lawmakers from the southeast had a closed-door meeting to discuss the tax reform bills. Aside supporting the bills, the senators are calling for wider consultations.
As much as we are not against the bill, that we would also have to do further consultations with our different constituencies and the state government. We think that the result of those consultations will lead to a better bill being passed and a much more equitable framework.
Now, the next few weeks are undoubtedly crucial in determining whether or not the push for wider consultations can coexist with the urgency for legislative action. Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
Session drove the defection of a federal lawmaker in the House of Representatives during the week. The lawmaker representing Jos South and Jos East federal constituency, Alfred Ilya, had read a letter indicating his decision to join the All Progressives Congress from the Labour Party. However, some lawmakers in the minority caucus objected to the process of his defection that led to the rowdy session.
Of Nigeria.
The day's proceedings at the Green Chamber of the National Assembly begins with a letter of defection. A lawmaker from the Labour Party, Honorable Alfred Ilya, who is representing Jos South and Jos East federal constituency, has notified the leadership of the House of his intention to defect to the All Progressives Congress.
Later. The celebration can follow later, please. This decision was due to the crisis of leadership in the Labour Party, and though deeply personal, is one that I believe is in the best interest of my constituents and the broader objectives of national development.
However, there are dissenting voices on the content of the letter, which eventually led to the rowdiness in the House.
Honorable colleagues, his letter is correct. His letter is correct. Let me read the paragraph again.
The minority leader, Honorable Kingsley Chinda, picks holes in the letter.
Our colleague has not established the fact that he is a member of any other party as to warrant the presentation of that letter before this House this morning.
However, the Speaker rejected his observation.
For your information, Leader, our honorable colleague has satisfied all the criteria based on the legal advice I've gotten. Point of order, Mr. Speaker. But thank you for your contribution.
This defection brings the total number of lawmakers who have decamped from the Labour Party to the All Progressives Congress this month to 6.
Thank you very much, the Right Honourable Speaker.
Meanwhile, the House is investigating the management of the World Bank Fund for a nutrition program in Nigeria. The House made the resolution following the adoption of a motion on the fund.
A beautiful program for solving malnutrition challenges, but it has appeared to produce miraculous and obviously ineffective outcomes, taking cognizance of the reports and current indicators of Nigeria amidst such a huge and humongous loan from the World Bank.
The House Committees on Nutrition and Food Security, Finance, 8, Loan and Debt Management, are mandated to carry out the investigation and report back to the House in 4 weeks. From the National Assembly, Kumbi Aboluade, reporting for Channels Television.
And the House of Representatives has raised concern over the increasing activities of one-chance operations in the Federal Capital Territory. In a motion moved by Billy Shewaru, said that during plenary he cited a lack of synergy between the Nigerian police and financial institutions, which makes it difficult for victims to recover their monies. Meanwhile, the House has moved to investigate the activities of the Nigerian Customs Service over alleged smuggling and maltreatment of Nigerians by the cause of carrying out their duties.
It's the second day of plenary at the House of Representatives, and a number of issues are brought to the floor. Citing an incident involving a journalist in Badagry, Lagos State earlier this month, who was allegedly assaulted by officers of the Nigerian Customs Service, a motion to investigate the activities of the service in connection with smuggling and maltreatment of Nigerians takes precedent.
The House is further aware that the actions of some officers within the Nigerian Customs Service contravene its core mandate, erode public trust, and raise concerns about oversight of joint security operations involving military personnel. So the House resolved to 1. Mandate the Committee on Customs and Excise jointly with the Committee on Defense to investigate the operations and activities of the Nigerian Customs Service.
Meanwhile, a bill to amend the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act to include compulsory counseling and training of corruption convicts is read for the second time.
Correctional facilities shouldn't just be a place you take them to, you restrain their movement for months, for years. They also need to go through proper counseling, training, and let them know the extent of the offense, and let them know that they are being punished not just because the government wants to punish them, but because of the effects of corruption.
The bill scales second reading.
And apprehend the criminals.
The Green Chamber is also drawn to the incessant operations of one chance in the Federal Capital Territory.
On daily basis, cases of such abound, including that of our children, relatives, staff, secretaries. And if nothing urgent is done to curb these activities of one chance in FCT Abuja and other states in general, and its perpetrators brought to book, FCT may not be safe for every one of us to stay.
Among other things, this motion, which has now been referred to the Committee on Financial Institutions, will allow for the Nigerian police and financial institutions to provide timely information for the recovery of stolen funds of victims of one chance and other criminal activities. From the foyer of the National Assembly, Kumbi Aboluade, Channels Television News.
And finally, a news round. U.S. President Joe Biden has issued presidential pardons to 39 Americans convicted of nonviolent crimes and commuted these sentences of nearly 1,500 other people. The White House described it as the most acts of presidential clemency issued in a single day. It's not given the names of the people involved yet. The U.S. Constitution decrees that a president has the broad power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. Earlier this month, Biden issued a controversial pardon to his son, Hunter, which continued a recent trend of presidents pardoning people close to them. Announcing the move, Biden said those pardoned have shown successful rehabilitation and have shown commitment to making their communities stronger and safer. Their nonviolent convictions included drug offenses. The commuted sentences were for hundreds of people who were placed in home confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic, who were facing sentences which Biden deemed to be too long under outdated laws. He says they have shown that they deserve a second chance. And those were the top stories for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Bye for now.